For all things great iron and hard top, it's Kev Lewis since the Sandbox.
Since the Sandbox fans, we're back with some more great YouTube content for you guys. And another trade has happened in the NFL, and we want to know who won the trade. And it's a special episode for Lou because Lou is a big Colts fan. We got the Carson Wentz trade. We know what was involved, a third-round pick from this year. And very interesting, a conditional second-round pick possibly can be a first-round pick if, Carson Wentz plays 75% of the snaps this year or 70% and they make the playoffs. So I thought that was very interesting, knowing Wentz's injury history. So I guess that's a pretty decent condition for them to either get a first or a second. But I think the Eagles still got a lot of value for someone that, was already kind of moved on to the next team. But also the Eagles eating almost $35 million in dead cap, along with the dead cap they'll have for Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey. Just makes them really in a really tough scenario going forward, honestly. And I think it's going to take some time to get the Eagles back to where they were, winning Super Bowls with Nick Foles and Carson Wentz. So good trade for them to both move on. I think it's a great fit for Carson Wentz with the Colts. And, Lou, I'm sure you're excited about it.
Yeah, man. I think it was good on all ends just because the way I think about it is they didn't get into a bidding war.
Yeah.
They looked at them dead in the face and said, we'll give you a 3 and a 2. And it's like, okay. And it could be a 1. But at the end of the day, what's that 1 going to be if they make the playoffs? At best, what, the 21st or 22nd pick?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're a young, good team, we've seen the Rams haven't drafted a guy in the first round in years, and they make the playoffs still. So it doesn't really concern me on that end. They didn't give up too much. They're not eating a ton of dead cap. And I know he's getting paid a good amount, but it's like, look at the QB contracts that are going to be handed out. Like, there's going to be some guys getting paid hella money.
Yeah.
We could be paying Jared Goff this money. You know what I mean? Or another guy that comes up on the free agent market that's going to break the bank. Like, if Sam Darnold becomes a free agent in a year and gets paid like $30 million, the Wentz contract isn't going to look bad at all.
Yeah.
And you have a guy who's going somewhere where they believe in him. Like, that's a big difference. Like, he wasn't talking to Doug Peterson the last 10 weeks. It's like, dude, he didn't want to be there. He's a place he wants to be. They have a better O-line than the Eagles, better weapons, a better defense. So I feel like it's at worst they couldn't be more than 10-6 or 9-7 if that in a decent division. So I think it worked well, and for the Eagles, it's the best you could have hoped for. I mean, I know the Bears could have offered for him, but Wentz didn't want to go there. They got strong-armed, and I think it was good. I don't think there's a downside for the Colts because next worst thing you have Eason, and then you look for another QB. I mean, it's not that hard. But it's definitely worth the risk, and I think there's been a lot more, like, let's say Carson Wentz is somewhat back to his old form, right? Like a top 10, 15 quarterback in the league, and you got him for a third and possibly a first, and the Rams just gave up King's ransom for Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if that trade is looked at as a win for the Rams, then how can this trade not be looked at as a win for the Colts? They gave up a third of as much.
Yeah.
Taking on a similar contract, and they really needed a QB more than the Rams. The Rams kind of made a splurge move, and we didn't.
I guess what it comes down to is really just taking your chances on a veteran guy rather than taking a chance in the draft. Because
Exactly.
teams that take a chance in the draft are able to sell a little more and maybe get an additional first or maybe like an additional second on top of the value that was given. Definitely was probably tough taking on that contract too. I know it's not going to be for as long and as much because the Eagles are eating so much money. But yeah, I think that'll definitely work out, and I think that was their best bet too because they have a good defense. They need some wide receivers, you know that, but once they get those, maybe another tight end, they're money, So they look like they're going to be the favorite in that division. But Kev, what do you got to add?
It's like the Colts said, wow, we had a good season and then just went out and threw the entire franchise away. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I like the trade. Like you guys said, I mean, Carson Wentz is, as much as I bash the Eagles, as much as I joke around about Carson Wentz, Lou's right. If he can get back to even like 70% of what he was, he's gonna be a top 15 quarterback, and that's
you got
still
your Eagle green on.
Yeah, I do. I got my Boston A green on. But no, if he does get back to 70%, he is gonna be a top 15 quarterback, and that's still an upgrade from Phillip Rivers. You know what I mean? And he's younger. He's definitely more mobile than Phillip Rivers is. So. And we saw they were just, they just missed that cusp of being like a serious contender this year. And I think Carson Wentz, even though he's no Tom Brady or Pat Mahomes, he can get them over that hump because he's that good. He's athletic. He extends plays. Like Lou said, if they can go out and get a receiver, or at least another receiver, then boom, they're going to be right back. And you say 10-6, 9-7. I mean, I don't see them being below 11 wins every season, especially with Wentz now.
Yeah.
As long as Wentz can stay healthy.
Yeah, the only and I think it's a good thing because going into the season we had the second most cap space at $69 million. So it's like you put 24 plus onto a quarterback, you have mostly everybody signed, everyone's young, and it's like what could hurt? I mean, I don't know if Nick Sirianni was going to be a big loss. We already saw him at his interview looking like a deer in headlights for the Eagles. So
I mean, the Colts' best player is Rodrigo Blankenship. So
yeah, in the number 1 rated draft class last season with no first-round picks. Might I add you?
And Lou, I'm sure if this opportunity presented itself last year before signing Phillip Rivers, they would have did it too.
Yes, and it would have been for more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the way I look at it is, if they went to trade up in the draft, you're giving up a first and probably a second and maybe a future pick for a top 5 pick in this draft. So it's like, is Justin Fields really going to be that much better than Carson Wentz off the bat? No.
I think I'd take my chances on having Carson Wentz be a top 12, 13 starter than trading 2 to 3 first-round picks and taking a chance on a Fields or a Wilson. And not that I don't think that they'll be good, but you're just giving up more without seeing as much,
Exactly.
So that's my whole thing on it, but. We'll see what's going to happen. What do you guys think? Who won the trade, the Colts or the Eagles? Make sure to let us know. We're going to keep doing these trade videos. Guys, we got a couple Since the Sandbox hoodies, so if you want to rock a hoodie just like your favorite podcasters, get yours now and go to sincethesandbox.net.
This green one is not on sale, so don't look for that.
Maybe at the Revere Flea Market, but that's about it.
Get your dungarees.
Go to sincethesandbox.net and pre-order your Born and Raised in EASTIE t-shirts, guys. Those are fire. Also, 5 stars on the podcast. If it ain't 5 stars, guys, don't want it. Peace.
For all things great iron and hard top, it's Kevlu and Since the Sandbox.